until 5th place and perhaps even 6th place. So I'm really looking forward to see any of these teams to just get the booyah and stop Geek Fam.
Yeah, they had to stop Geek Fam. I think right now Geek Fam, yes, they are the best team, undoubtedly the best team right now, but they're also public enemy #1. So judging from the slight vision we had of the flight path, it feels like Geek Fam, they're not gonna run into any other teams. But it's not the same for VPH Velocity though. They're gonna immediately run into SAF, and it seems like Pugna is just gonna try and duck his way around bullets, but say bullets are pretty fast and it's hard to dodge all those lead, all those ammunition being fired at you. So Pugna just has to try and run as fast as he can, because VPH Velocity at the bottom of the leaderboard, the worst position to be in, and it's also pretty weird to see them there because they debuted with a pretty decent performance, but it just started to go downhill. So VPH Velocity, if they can get out, they have to. Views though, they're gonna run to AKO once more, and last time they bumped into AKO, they won out, and this time it's gonna be the same result. They draw first blood onto AKO and auto knockout, just not having a good start.
Once again, auto knockout is going to put himself in a really bad spot, and of course may have some potential in being completely handicapped for this game as well. Views is going to cuck them as much as they can, and they do know that Zen is just right around the area beside the electrical tower, and they are not gonna let him go otherwise. So they're not gonna stop until Zen is down, because he's the only person that they have information on. Mon opens right up onto Zen. We do have a glue wall being popped for Zen, but I can assume that that is going to be his one and only glue wall. So Mon can actually fire away, destroy the glue wall, and send Zen in an in a open field and being unable to do anything whatsoever. But one thing that we gotta have to take a look at is the fact that Abnoy is right in front of Shura, so he can't open himself right up to try to bring down the member that's behind the electrical towers. Because once he exposes himself a little bit too much, everyone else is just going to come in like a vulture and swoop in for the kill.
And that is going to potentially be a very viable move, because Mon it was caught in the open by Shura, so AKO, they were able to kind of do some damage control. At least, their teammates didn't go down in vain. And in fact, Shura is right beside this compound. So AKO, they have the intention to just eliminate Views right off the bat. And Miro and Shura just run straight in, take on Views. This is going to be pretty important though, but the time turn is going to protect Bandy at least for now. But AKO, with Zen on the high ground, I'm not sure if he can provide any cover fire though. That angle is not going to give him much of a bird's eye view compared to what Views have, because if you are on AKO's side and you're running at Views, you're going to eventually give NBA Lore kind of the vision advantage, because he is holding the high ground from the other side. So AKO, they kind of know that, and they decide to slow down a bit and kind of assess the situation before deciding whether they want to take on Views.
The really sad thing is that Views actually lost a single member, because they didn't quite realize that Shura has already taken position just to bring down Abnoy. I think it was Abnoy that was at the electrical tower as well. Maybe it's not Abnoy, I can't remember. But the main point is that it has become 3 versus 3. Whichever team, or rather whichever player, did not have a full understanding as to where their opponent is, they are definitely going to get their 6 being riddled with bullets, and thus, at this point of time, they need to understand what is going on. They need to communicate where are all of these opponents. They know that there's only 3 members of AKO. They know that, at least for Abnoy, they know that Shura, Mirul is just outside of this house and is using his third-person capabilities to just wait for Mirul to jump right in. And that is where he can spring right out and fill him with bullets.
And this stand-up is going to be pretty intense, but it's going to be blown right open by AKO as they were able to flush out a member from Views with that frag grenade. So this is going to give Mirul a pretty easy shot, and that also means Views, they are now playing with a man disadvantage. Alforte, he is stuck on the low ground with NBA Lore still providing that cover fire, but that makes things even harder for the side of Views. And you can see the patience from Older Knockout. I actually like this discipline from the team. It has kind of caused them to bomb out early on in a lot of these rounds that we've seen. Perhaps having this kind of discipline and maintaining it is going to bring them further into the round. But this circle, the deadliest we've seen so far, right down towards the southern side of the map of Bermuda, a lot of bodies of water. You can see VPH Velocity taking a swim in the ocean as the southwestern side of the map is pretty much congested with 3 teams on Legends Rumble, SAF, and Geek Fam. Meanwhile, FastQ runs into Do Easy, and they immediately loses 2 members as Yun and Noob. They both get knocked down. FastQ they want to come in for the backup, but the frag grenade is gonna land this time onto Bayern. And things are just going horribly wrong for FastQ. They were in the top 5, but it seems like they're gonna drop out of there, and indeed they will. They are gonna be the first team to fall prey, and it's gonna be to Do Easy as well.
Really unfortunate for the side of FastKill because they do have my vote. I really think that as a point of individual talents, they really know exactly what they want, and they have really good marksmanship. But at the point of time, it just seemed like they didn't really quite have the control of the battlefield, and they just didn't really quite know what they want to do. But we'll see if when Supreme Assault Forces versus Legends Rumble, which team is the one that know exactly what they want to do and how they're gonna be doing that. With One Tap being the first one being knocked down by Nga, and right after One Tap being taken down, it does seem like the rest of the members coming from Supreme Assault Forces is just gonna get themselves the quick run away and immediately bail from One Tap, just making sure that, well, they survive with 3 men. So, well, a little bit half-assed from the side of SAF, but at least they know that, you know, survivability is the most important thing to have.
And SAF themselves have put up a pretty decent performance. You know, they got I think top 3 in the first round. Second round I don't really remember, but at least they are slowly showing a bit of an improvement. But speaking about that, they are gonna run straight into Geek Fam and Insanity, completely surrounded by the members of Geek Fam, and he knows his time is limited. So the best case scenario for now is just to buy as much time as possible. Generally, you want to wait for the rest of your team to arrive, but SAF, they were also called out by a secondary squad. I believe it was Legends Rumble, and in this scenario, there's nothing much that they can do. Insanity is pretty much dead. So he has to tell his team that he's not going to be able to make it out, and they just have to do their best to deal with Legends Rumble and just abandon him completely, because you don't want to have that save your buddy syndrome and end up dying and end up getting wiped out entirely. Geek Fam, they're just going to hold this angle. They don't have to rush at all.
There's no need at all. I mean, it's understandable. Insanity is got his back against the wall. If they try to rush at Insanity, whereby they have no idea what kind of items that he has, they don't know what kind of weapon. If it's a Vector Akimbo, this is just going to be completely floored. But the fact that they are looking at a 1 versus 4, the way that Geek Fam is playing is that they understand that they can't recklessly run into the face of Insanity, because they don't want to go in. They don't want to assess into a point whereby they have to go to the final circle in a 3-man squad. So they know what they want to do. They went into a duo squad and just split up. Split up, one person to go clockwise, one person to go anti-clockwise, and they just pincer him from there. And that is great for the side of Geek Fam.
And Geek Fam able to clean up Insanity for that free kill. The rest of SAF, they made the right choice. You know, there's no point saving that buddy right there. He is completely isolated. So that conflict would come to a stop for now. But wait, look at Secret Movement, Freedom Rumble, and STB Son of God. Secret Movement, they're so far away from one another. One is going for that crate right in the middle of the freeway, and yeah, he's gonna get punished for sure. There's no way you can be allowed to do that without any repercussions. And with that, one has to try to hold his ground, just get the inhaler used, but Miro was still able to get the shot, and in fact they secure the kill. But it feels like Secret Movement, they wanted to save their buddy, and because they're also split up, there is no way that they will be able to fight. They thought that STP was the only team, and they were highly mistaken, because Freedom Rumble was able to grab another freebie who was on the freeway, excuse me, and Secret Movement, they're just down to Fikri, and he'll just have to turtle his way into getting a good placement point.
Coming in and looking at zone number 2 that will be closing in 20 seconds. That is going to push quite a lot of players and quite a lot of members into a hurried frenzy. And speaking of frenzy, I do believe that a couple of teams was receiving a couple of lead from the opponent side, and it does seem like STP Son of the Gun, Son of Gun is the one that just received a couple of damage. They are now cooped inside this garage, and there is not much place that they can go. But fortunately, Ziha, he does have a bird's eye view as well. He does have an elevated ground that will be able to see from everywhere where the opponent is running from, where they are going, except if they run behind of the compound, whereby Ziha have absolutely no idea, because that is the rear. He can only see from the front. So we have 3 members coming from the side of Do Easy that is prepared and ready to throw in some action. All the frag grenades being thrown right by the door, right by the frame of the door. They are waiting for the right time to eventually just completely push STP Son of Gun with their back against the wall.
And it seems like Do Easy, they are definitely gonna run into STP Son of Gun, and STP Son of Gun, they're all trapped in that building, so Do Easy just needs to plan this out. We've seen a lot of these executions gone wrong just because there's lack of coordination. This kind of assault should be pretty simple if done right, but until it is executed perfectly, we can't give the verdict whether Do Easy is gonna make this happen. And in fact, they just decide to completely back off. They're not gonna challenge STP Son of Gun, probably worried that things might go horribly sideways, so they're just gonna duck underneath the building and try to make their way towards a better position. But still, because they're out in the open, now that gives the advantage towards STP Son of Gun, due to the fact that Do Easy does not have any compounds to work with.
It does make sense, right? Do Easy running away from the lower ground, because on a third-party perspective, third-person perspective, you don't really know where the opponent is. You don't know if whether they have the advantage over you, and you don't know if whether the opponent is already looking right at you. So they are not really interested in testing the waters either. So they just decided to, kind of back off and wait for STP Son of Gun to run away, because eventually they kind of have got them in the back, under the palm of their hands, because eventually STP Son of Gun, they gotta have to move. They gotta have to go somewhere, right? So they just hid behind a ridge, waiting for them to run out, and then deal with them afterwards. And that is completely understandable.
Yep. Geek Fam, they have just ran into the factory, and they will have to face off against Legend Rumble. That seems to show you he's gonna get his back hit on for a while. But Geek Fam, they know where Taken is, and Taken is holding a very crucial spot. And okay, it's gonna immediately flush him out. Taken drops the time turner and turns around with the grenade launcher to blow up Aki. But there is backup from the side of Geek Fam. Apit will get his body back up, and the rest of Geek Fam will go in for the kill. You do not do that to the Kings and Legend Rumble. They know that they have to fight their way out of factory, so they're trying to make a pincer maneuver. But Geek Fam, they're already in position. They're ready to take on Legend Rumble. Look at the glue wall. Look at where they are. All the flanks are covered. Legends Rumble, they know that they can't go for those flanks, so they will have to group up together and perhaps make a detour. But that headshot from Shoyu is going to tag onto Nga, and that's going to make things really hard, because Cyber is also injured by Geek Fam, and all it takes for Geek Fam to take out Legends Rumble is a couple more good shots, and Shoyu is going to make sure Cyber goes down on the ground. And with the circle closing in, Geek Fam, they're going to bail out of there. They're going to let Legends Rumble tank the storm, and Legends Rumble, they are in such a horrible position, because if they want to make it into the safe zone, they will have to face the wrath of Geek Fam, but Geek Fam, they will have to run into auto knockout. This is going to be a pretty messy fight.
Just waiting for the perfect time where the circle flushes everyone else out. But for now, we do have Baby Argons that is going to be in a pretty darn good spot, if you ask me. They are in the center of the new circle, and also still within Pochinok itself, with Auto Knockout at the edge of this circle. And knowing Auto Knockout, they are definitely not going to be running right into the circle, because they have no idea and no information who is in the center of the circle and who is in the southeastern side of Fortunat. So for now, just gatekeeping is probably going to be the best case scenario, and them throwing so much lead over to the side of Geek Fam is most definitely going to be one of the best and most important things to do. But them shooting Geek Fam like that is not going to score them kills. It is just going to push the responsibility away. But by Geek Fam, they know, okay, we can't enter by the northern side. We gotta wrap around, go by the counterclockwise direction, head in by the south. And in my opinion, not the best case, because you're just pushing Geek Fam somewhere else, and then they are maybe gonna bite you in the butt later.
I definitely feel like that might be the case, right? Last time AKO had the chance to gatekeep Geek Fam. Geek Fam took over that area, and in this case, it's gonna be harder for Geek Fam because there is more open ground in between these two teams. But it is still possible for Geek Fam to look at what they're doing. Like you said, they're rotating. Zach, he was watching the flank, so he'll tank the storm temporarily. With the circle closing in, this conflict is inevitable. Geek Fam is just gonna try and run straight into AKO, and AKO, if they don't hold their ground right now, they're never gonna be able to hold their ground later on. And Zach is just gonna try and run in and get the kill, but he does get knocked. This is good for Cobra, because Cobra is the one who gets the intervention. So a piece gets knocked down by Views as well, but Views will still be eliminated as Geek Fam retaliates. But at least they've been able to kind of cripple Geek Fam a bit. Geek Fam for once will not be able to enter the final phase of the circle with their full squad. They did lose Zach, but that was the best that he could do. He needed to go for the challenge, and losing out means that Geek Fam will have to slow down a bit. But meanwhile, Baby Argon, they just go in for the flush. They completely take out Freedom Rumble at the cost of one of their own. Jim gets eliminated, but look at where the circle is. Down to the south side of Portugal now. Geek Fam, they read the circle perfectly, and they've gained control of the circle as well. VVH Velocity completely surrounded by STB Son of Gun, but they are able to hold back STB Son of Gun. This is not supposed to happen. STP, they need to get into the circle right now, and with Geek Fam already controlling the southwestern side, these other teams, they need to quickly flush out Geek Fam, or else we might see a third booyah for this team for today.
I really don't know what to say about this. Are they really gonna get the third booyah? Because if they are, I'm getting out of here. But you know what? Speaking of getting out of here, Auto Knockout is out of here as well. As we do have Baby Argus, the one that manages to get themselves completely wiped out. Or rather, they did manage to get a really good wipeout around Auto Knockout. But in the meantime, we are also going to be looking at VPH Velocity, currently being holed up in this small little facility, kind of stuck here in some one way or another. They also didn't have quite a lot of kills. Geek Fam joins in the fray. We do have the Vector Akimbo coming in from the side of Jonelle, and he did manage to bring down a kick all the way to the depths of hell. That is definitely going to be the final nail in the coffin. STB Son of Gun from the other side of the wall did manage to come in and vulture onto Geek Fam, and they have finally managed to put down the champion, or rather put down the favorites of this current tournament. We do have the zone, the storm, that's just going to be flushing everyone else in. The chaos ensues, and this is pretty much a thing that we are always going to be looking at. We do have velocity just going to go straight down to the hands of a lot of people. And just like that, Baby Argon made full use of all of that chaos